One thing that's pretty fascinating about making these daily update videos for you guys is you start noticing the change in sentiment and people's overall feeling on things. And you had people buying many different properties, paying over asking price, waiving inspections, waiving appraisals, doing all sorts of crazy things like that no one should ever really do, but they did it. And now, lo and behold, many recent buyers now believe that they overpaid for their property. Wow, who could have predicted that one coming? Now we'll get into some numbers on this, but I wanted to give one anecdotal story on it first about this guy from St. Louis. He bought a house in 2020, right after the whole outbreak situation. He said he wanted more space for his wife and his new baby, and he was one of those people that waived the inspection, didn't get anything like that done, just, rushed into the FOMO of buying the house. Once he moved in, he found out there were some pretty expensive repairs that needed to be made to the HVAC system, to the plumbing, and even the electrical. So those are like the three big ones really that are the most expensive to repair that affect the whole house. And this guy got lucky enough to buy into all of those problems. And once he found out how much it was going to cost to fix everything, he quickly realized that it was outside of his budget. Not only did he have these expensive repairs that needed to be made that he couldn't afford, but he has a mortgage payment that is a stretch as well. And this is exactly the profile of the person that I've been warning you guys time and time again to not become. And that's why I do think when it comes to buying a home, it really is individual when it comes to, is it the right time and is it the right property? Because everybody has different circumstances. I didn't expect to buy my place, in 2022, but I did because I got an excellent deal on it. It's like a once in a lifetime type of deal. So I bought it. And that was just a coincidence that that deal came along in a hot housing market. But it could have just as easily gone the other way and no deal would come around and I would still be renting, So when you have opportunity in life, you seize it. At least that's what I do. But what people like this guy from St. Louis did is not seize opportunity. They jumped into the fire, guys, because they did everything you could possibly do wrong when it comes to buying a house. Pay over asking price? Check. Higher mortgage payment than you'd like to see each month that affects your budget? Check. Waive inspections? Check. Waived appraisal? Check. I mean, you name it, these people have made these mistakes, and now they wish they didn't make these mistakes, but obviously it's too late for them. But it's not too late for you if you watch my channel and just follow these simple anecdotes. It's not that hard to just go back to paying the regular price for a house and getting inspections done and making sure it's the right time in your life and making sure you're going to stay in the property for a long time and making sure that you're not doing anything silly like these people did. This house just screams insanity and greed. They listed this place for rent back in March of 2022 for $12,000 a month, ended up raising it to $20,000 a month, and then now today it's listed for only $7,000 a month and no one has rented it. This is crazy. Now obviously real estate agents played a part in this whole run up in the housing prices too, because even now you guys tell me that you see ads on my YouTube channel about real estate agents putting out ads out there saying you need to buy right now before prices go up, get in while the interest rates have gone down a little bit, and all these things to basically scare people into buying right now because they're desperate for business. Similarly, a lot of agents probably played into this FOMO, advising their buyers to offer over asking price and do these crazy things like waiving their contingencies and their rights, and so much so that lawsuits filed against realtors and brokerage firms increased 9% from 2021 to 2022. And many of these people are disgruntled home buyers that feel like they were cheated and made the wrong decision. I kind of have mixed feelings about this because on the one hand, nobody put a gun to their head to buy the place. At the same time, real estate agents have a responsibility to give people honest advice, and advising someone to pay way over asking price for a home just to make a sale is not the right thing to do. And I do understand that there were situations where that might have been the only way to get that particular house, but that's where common sense should prevail on both sides, both the realtor and the home buyer. Like, hey, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't buy into this crazy, ridiculous pattern of overbidding and waiving all of our contingencies. Let's keep looking for a better deal. Or maybe just now's not the right time to buy. So it is really both people's fault. I could see that. But I'm not really sure if it's fair for a home buyer to win a lawsuit against a real estate agent where they were just as guilty. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it was just one person's fault. It's both of your faults. You signed the paperwork, you followed through with the deal. Even if your gut told you no, you did it anyways as the home buyer. And the real estate agent, shame on you for pushing the buyer to pay over asking price and waive their rights just to make a sale. And one thing that these home buyers are upset with their agents with the most, who are filing these lawsuits, are saying that we should have been advised of where the market might be headed. Interesting, right? What do we talk about here all the time on the channel? Where is the market headed, right? We're always talking about the future of real estate. Where is the market going? We already know where it's been. We have all the data on that. So all we need to do now is try and predict where it's going. And that's just it, guys. It's a prediction. It's never going to be 100% accurate. Like in a recent video, I explained the basic process of getting a home equity loan or a home equity line of credit. And I had a couple people correct me because I made a mistake in the way that I explained it. And I have no problem admitting I made a mistake. I responded to those people in the comments, said, yes, you're right. This is the way it should be explained. But you know, it's difficult, guys. I'm out here, I'm walking around, dodging traffic, dodging leaf blowers, looking at all my notes, trying to hold the camera and keep my thoughts coherent while I'm making these videos for you. And sometimes I'll make a mistake, and I don't mind admitting it. So yes, I did make a mistake with the way I explained the home equity situation. And I admit that. I'm only human, so forgive me. I might say things sometimes on the channel that are not 100% correct, but it's never by design. It's never because I want to be misleading. It's just because I made an honest mistake. So there you go. This house always seems to have some sort of holiday decoration. They had Halloween, they had Christmas, now they have Valentine's Day. And the people who are in the worst shape from all of this FOMO buying are the buyers that bought and paid over asking price in these really hot markets like in Austin, in Phoenix, in San Francisco, places like this, and they are now already underwater on their homes. So think about that. You just bought maybe a year, 2 years ago, and it's already worth less than what you paid for it. And talk about having a case of buyer's remorse. That's about as bad as it can get for anyone right now. And this is affecting quite a bit of people. Actually, 11% of homeowners who purchased their properties within the last year are now underwater on their homes, guys. So think about that. 11% is a lot. That's not anything to sneeze at. It's not like it's 1% or 2%. I'm talking 11% of recent buyers. So that's quite a bit. This one, I guess maybe you could consider it a mansion on the golf course, 8 bed, 6.5 bathroom. They want $5.9 million for the place though, and you can also rent it for $34,000 a month. So should be no big deal, just cough it up. Now, the general advice from realtors out there right now for buyers who think that they overpaid is don't worry about it. You know, real estate's a long-term thing. It'll come back. And you know, if that's your only way to look at it and you are going to be a long-term holder of the property, sure, I agree. Eventually it's going to come back and be worth more than what you paid for it. We don't know how long this is going to take, but eventually. Now, to give you guys the stats, 1 in 5 people who bought a property in the last 2 years regrets their purchase. So that's 20%. The news tries to downplay this and they look at the flip side. Well, look, 80% are happy with their purchase. They say they're building wealth. They're going to have a house to pass down to future generations, blah, blah, blah. That's all fine and dandy. But what about the 20% of people that regret their decision because they messed up? You know, that's the kind of thing I feel like we should focus on, because it's a huge mistake, right? And it's so preventable. That's really the sad part about this. It's just so easily prevented. But because people just don't listen and they just, you know, buy into the fear and this scarcity mindset that I'm never going to be able to get a place to live if I don't get it now, is really what landed people here. But here's where I think the advice goes really bad on this, because the realtors will say, well, even if prices come down 25%, your monthly payment's still going to be higher now than it would have been a year ago when interest rates were in the 3% range. And while that might be true, That's the wrong thing to focus on. And that's why I'm always here trying to correct these narratives to make you understand the home purchase the right way, so that way you don't get screwed and you don't lose in the long run like these people have been. And this is one of the tactics that realtors use to get people to buy now or before they actually should, because what they'll do is they'll say, oh, well, you're still going to be paying more monthly right now, even though prices are starting to come down, than you would have a year ago. So you better buy now because interest rates are down a little bit. So this is when it's the best time to buy, when interest rates go down. Couldn't be further from the truth. And I will say this again for anyone who has not heard it. The purchase price is always more important than your interest rate, okay? But why is that? Why is the price so much more important than interest rates if your monthly payment could potentially be higher even though you're getting a lower price? It's very simple, guys. Interest rates are temporary, okay? The price you pay for the home is permanent. You can never change how much you paid. These people who paid $50,000 over asking price are reeling right now, wishing they wouldn't have done that, and they can never fix that mistake, no matter how good their interest rate is. Versus if you pay the right price for the property, but it's at a higher interest rate like today, say 6.2, 6.3%, well, eventually, when rates do come back down, then you refinance. So your payment is higher right now, but when the time comes, when rates go down, whenever that is, maybe a couple years from now, or maybe 5 years from now, whatever it is, you'll then be able to actually lower your mortgage payment each month. Versus these people that bought with the low interest rate, their mortgage payment's never gonna get lower than that, and they're gonna be stuck with the purchase price forever. So I hope that part makes a lot of sense to you. And it's just one of those common tricks and misbeliefs that realtors tell buyers that get them to believe that now is a better time to buy than it was a month ago because interest rates are down. And that's not true, guys, because prices are still falling. So what's more important, the price or the interest rate? And when prices are coming down, well, I think the answer is pretty clear. Now, speaking of buying, one of the most important things that I always tell you guys that you have to get ready and you have to get in order if you want to get the best deal on a home is what? First of all, you need to have a decent amount of money saved for your down payment. But second of all, what is the most important thing? Your credit score. You need to have the best credit score you possibly can have in order to qualify for the best interest rate possible, because the better your credit score, the lower the interest rate you're going to get. And in an environment like this, when interest rates are pretty high, then having the higher credit score is going to save you a lot of money. Which leads me to today's video sponsor, Smart Credit. For today's video sponsor, Smart Credit comes in handy. If you need to improve your credit score, Smart Credit is an all-in-one tool that has helped users add points to their credit score fast, and it helps you take control of your future credit score. One of the best features that Smart Credit has available is their Score Builder and Score Boost feature, both of which help you add points to your credit score. Score Builder, for example, will give you plenty of different action steps that you can go through once you've linked up all of your credit accounts, and it will show you areas that you can improve on to not only help make your credit score improve, but also help you dispute any potential problems with your credit history. So for example, if you see a charge that's not supposed to be on your account, or they reported that you're late and it's not correct, you can take care of that all right here on Smart Credit by simply clicking this Let's Take Action button, clicking on Fix the Error, and then if you have a problem, oh, I was not actually 90 days late on this account like it says, simply click that. This will send it directly to your creditor. You don't have to wait on the phone or do anything. Smart Credit will take care of it all for you. And if you're worried about hard credit pulls on your account, don't worry, because Smart Credit uses what's called a soft pull, so you can check your credit as many times as you want on the platform, and this will not influence or affect your credit score at all. And one of the best features of Smart Credit is that you can use their Money Manager feature to connect all of your bank and credit card accounts to monitor all of your spending to see areas you can improve on, and it also has spending alerts in case you have a hard time paying all of your bills on time and tracking everything. Smart Credit will help you manage all of this in one place, as well as track if any potential fraud is happening on your account. And to just show you real quick how much improving your credit score can make a huge difference when you're trying to buy a home, check this out. Let's say you're getting a $300,000 mortgage and you have a 639 credit score like this person. You will be paying about $2,000 a month versus somebody who has a 760 or above. They're paying only $1,754 a month. And look at the total interest paid over the life of the loan. You're talking well over $100,000. So improving your credit score is paramount and crucial to your future success. The link is down in the description below. Give Smart Credit a try today. Now, last week we talked about in a video that almost everywhere it is now cheaper to rent than it is to buy, and like 90% of the metros across the United States. But what about places where it's still cheaper to buy? Do places like that exist? Well, it turns out there's a few of them out there, and this is where I just want to show my neutrality. Like, for all the people who think that I'm just like, spouting off bad news and, wanting the housing market to crash, I'm just reporting on what's actually happening. Whether or not you want to see the facts or the truth is up to you. But it's not like I'm against people buying, or getting the home of their dreams. I think that everybody should buy the right property at the right time, like we talked about in the beginning. And if you're looking in one of these cities, then I think it's still a no-brainer to buy, especially if you're going to be spending less than it would cost to rent something similar. In Memphis, Tennessee, the median monthly rental cost is $1,258 a month, when the median mortgage is only $847, guys. That is huge. That's about a $400 a month difference. So if you live in a place like Memphis, makes sense to buy instead of rent still. You have other places like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the median rent cost is about $1,445 a month versus the median mortgage payment is only $1,097 a month. So you're still looking at a $300 a month difference. So that's still pretty good. A few other places are Birmingham, Alabama, St. Louis, Missouri, and Baltimore, Maryland. All of those places are still cheaper to buy right now in 2023 than it is to rent. So that's something to think about, because that was one of the main drivers for me to buy as well. Why am I going to pay more in rent than it would cost me to own the same unit? You know what I mean? That was like my logic. It makes no sense to do that anymore, versus where before, when you're paying half in the cost of rent than what it costs to own something, it was a no-brainer to rent. But as soon as those tables turn, that's when you got to start looking at buying, guys. And fortunately for you, most of these markets are pretty affordable markets as well. That's really another set of good news with all of this. And really, on the opposite end of the spectrum, check this out. If you're in Austin, Texas, guys, the median monthly rent right now is about $1,660 a month, and the median mortgage payment is $3,672 a month. And Austin, Texas also has basically the largest gap between what people earn and what homes cost in this area. And it's one of the reasons it's getting smacked right now when it comes to the home prices declining. It's already down about 18%, according to Redfin, just over the past 6 months, which is insane. That's why I'm always telling you guys, you got to pay attention to what's happening in your local market. You can't just say, oh, Case Shiller says this, Fred says this, and now is not a good time to buy. Maybe it is if you live in one of these places where renting's still more expensive. Obviously, it's not a good time to buy if you live in Austin, Texas. So you just have to look at these things. Look at Portland, Oregon. The median rent price there, $1,750 a month. Median mortgage payment, $2,996, guys, almost double. So you got to look at stuff like this. And speaking of paying attention to these things and watching your market, one of the common questions I get from people is, well, how do I do that, Michael? How do I pay attention to what's happening in my local market? What's the easiest way? Well, in my opinion, the best way to do this, and it's free, is all you got to do, guys, is go to redfin.com. You type in your city or your market right there in the search bar, and then over on the right-hand side, you'll see a tab that says Market Insights. From there, you'll be able to see all the important factors about your housing market like the median sale price that's being tracked over the past 5 years, the sale to list price ratio, the amount of inventory, how fast homes are selling in your area. These are all key components to really get a pulse on your local market. And the reason I'm bringing this up is not only to give you a helpful tip, but I saw a comment the other day. Somebody quoted the median home prices sold in the US from Fred's most recent data. And if you go look at Fred's data, guys, this does not line up at all with any of the other data sources out there. So for example, the most recent data available from Fred for median home prices is $467,000, only down $1,000 from $468K at the peak. Barely moved at all, right? But here's the interesting thing. If you go look at the Case-Shiller home price index, the peak of the market showed the median home price being $308,000, and now it's down to $298,000, which is a 3.2% decline. What else is interesting about this, the stark contrast in this data, is look at the difference between what Fred shows the median home price is compared to Case-Shiller. You know, Case-Shiller says right now it's $298,000 median home price. Fred's data is showing that it's $468,000, guys. So like $230,000 more. Fred is saying that that's the median sold price in the US. How can they have these type of discrepancies? And if you go check Redfin's data, in May of 2022 was the peak of the housing market when home prices were $431,000. And fast forward to today, median home price is down to $388,000, which is a 9.9% decline in just 7 months. So then the question becomes, well, who do you believe? You know, who do you listen to? Which data is correct? Well, I don't have a firm answer for you on that, but I will tell you that just by looking at how often these numbers are updated, that should give you kind of a clue who you should listen to in terms of data. The Fred data seems so far out of whack compared to the other two data sets, which are much more closely aligned. When you look at Redfin's data and Case-Shiller, the prices are way more in line with each other than what Fred's data is reporting. So right away, to me, that's a big red flag. The second thing is Fred's data is only updated on a quarterly basis. So every 3 months, they post a new number there. So they're using kind of like a 3-month average. So that could be part of the reason why their data is so different than the other two. And when you look at Case-Shiller, the problem with their data is it's lagging behind about 3 or 4 months. Their last update was for October of 2022. Well, that seems like centuries ago when we're talking about the housing market today. And the reason why I think Redfin is probably the best way to go with this is because it's updated monthly. So every single month, you're going to see the new number right there in real time for your housing market versus these other two indexes are on a nationwide scale and are lagging indicators of what's really happening. So to me, the reason why I like Redfin's data the most is because number one, it's the easiest and most accessible for most people to take a look at, and it's updated more often than these other two data sources. And of course, you have Zillow as well, but Zillow's more complicated. They don't have really like a good user interface for the average person to go on there and look at their data. You know, you can download it all in spreadsheet format, but unless you're good with that, then I suggest sticking with Redfin because it's just going to be so much easier. So if you are in the market right now and you are planning on buying something this year, go and check that out. Go check this out in your local market to just see how much are things selling for. Is the price moving in a downward direction, median sold prices, or is it moving up, or is it staying flat? Because I've shown you guys multiple examples of these things in my videos, and that can give you a very good indicator of where your local housing market is headed this year. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the bell notification down below. YouTube will alert you every time I post a new video, and if you don't want to wait, check out my next one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.